Hello, hello.
Hey, how's it going, everyone?
Hello, hello.
Good afternoon. Good
How you
afternoon.
doing, Robert?
How are you all doing today?
You guys hear me?
Good.
Doing well, doing
You
well.
all?
Well, thank you.
I just wanted to point out my shirt says real estate life on it. I thought you guys would appreciate that. Anyways, we will get started here in a few minutes. Just want to make sure everybody has time to jump on. And then I also need to get everything pulled up for today's call. So just give me like 1 minute, 1 or 2 minutes. And
All
then
right, I think I fixed it. Were you saying something, Mark?
Nope.
How's the Hawaii weather out there?
Still not working.
It's terrible. It's the worst. You don't want to be here.
You guys can hear me, right?
Raining in Virginia.
Yeah,
Wait,
we can.
Nobody wants to hear the weather in Hawaii.
Take off my
Nobody wants to know.
earpiece.
We're all jealous. Even us California people, it's too cold here.
Very cold recently.
There you go. You guys have any questions about anything? Were you saying something, Janetta?
Actually, I have a question for you, Zor. I was working with my mentor and she was talking about KV Core. How do you have access to that?
KV Core?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just got to make an account through EXP Enterprise.
Okay.
So if you log into EXP Enterprise, you scroll down, it's like midway down the page.
And
You see
that's
the little KV Core button.
Is that the CRM?
Yep, that's the
Yeah.
CRM that's provided. to your
I can
monthly
actually show you, Patrick.
Okay.
I can show you that right now. I'll share my
Thank you.
screen. All right, so if you go to EXP Enterprise, obviously you have to log in with your account there. Have you done this before?
Yes, I have. Yeah, I have access to that.
Okay, great. So once it loads, you'll see this right here. So this is where you'll go. And there should be, it's going to look different for me because I already have mine set up. But like once you have yours set up, or once you go into it, there should be an area where you can click on for them to get your account set up. Does that make sense?
It does. Okay. So,
Yeah.
but you said it was EXP Enterprise is the website?
Correct.
Okay, cool.
And that's how you access all of your things like SkySlope, EXP World, EXP passes. That's how we send everybody passes. Everything is in here, Marketing Center, logos and branding and designs, like everything's in here.
Okay, I've accessed some of the other sites. I haven't accessed that one yet. I'll look at that one today.
Okay. This is also where you find the workplace group too. So everything is through here.
Okay.
Of course, like you can log into SkySlope without having to log into EXP Enterprise. You can log into KV Core without having to log in there. But if you're
Okay.
first creating your account, that's where you would go.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. All righty. Well, I think I'll go ahead and get started. If you guys have questions while I'm going through everything, I'm not really going to be able to see you as I'm going through everything. So just unmute yourself and just interrupt and ask me the question as I'm going through. If you type it in the comments, I won't be able to see that either until, I stop screen sharing. So if somebody could interrupt me and be like, hey, somebody had a question in the comments, then that would be great. Because otherwise it's hard to see, like I can only see like 5 of you right now while I'm doing this. So, but yeah, if you guys have any questions, just let me know as I'm going through it. So kind of got some feedback from Zohar on, a lot of the questions that he was getting from you guys. And one of the big ones was on lead generation. And so I figured I would structure our call today around, how you do lead gen and how you do it before you get into or before you get your license, and of course, like after you get your license, on, you know, some methods that we've used that has worked for us, and kind of walk you through what that looks like. If everybody could put themselves on mute though, while I'm going through the presentation, and just unmute yourself when you have questions, that would be greatly appreciated. So, all right, so there are a few things that you can obviously do like before you get your real estate license, because most of you that are on this call are going through and taking their exam right now. But I would recommend that even while you're going through taking your exam, to also look at basically doing pre-licensed lead gen. And so I'm going to walk you through that right now. Let me go to this next slide. Can everybody see the slide okay, or do I need to make it bigger?
I can see it okay.
Looks
Yeah,
good.
fine.
Make it full screen. That might help. So about what you need to know, or about lead generation. So what you need to know about generating leads. So this is how you make money. So this is your income producing activities that you'll be doing on a daily basis, at least 5 days a week, especially when you're first starting out, whenever you don't really have any contacts and you don't really, you know, nobody really knows that you're in real estate. You know, that's going to be the main thing you're going to want to focus on is lead gen. Lead gen is going to be the most important part of your day. And so if you don't have a sort of like a calendar system, you're definitely going to want to get one of those set up, whether it's Google Calendars or whatever Apple has. And, you know, if you are a paper person, I would strongly encourage you to go away from doing everything on paper. Everything needs to be transitioned over to magazines. So you'll need to spend about 2 to 3 hours a day doing your lead gen activities, following up with past leads and new leads. So your lead gen activities can be a numerous amount of things that we'll go over in the next few slides. But basically, this is your time to follow up. And I say past leads, and you may be confused as to what that might mean. Past leads is like, okay, if you've lead gen for a week, the people that you had lead gen for that previous week, those are the people, those are like considered your past leads, right? So you're following up with all those people, and you're putting your new leads in there. And of course, you're following up with your new leads as well. And that leads me to having a client relationship manager. We just call it a CRM. And so if you hear that acronym, that's what that means. The best one is the one that you use, because you could have the best CRM in the world, and if you don't use it, then, you know, it's not really going to matter. Because then if you're not using it, then, you know, what does it matter if you have 500,000 contacts in there if you're not doing anything with those contacts? So making sure that if you are putting those contacts in there, that you're following up with them. And the goal is to put about 10 contacts in there daily into your CRM, and you're going to conduct all of your activity through that CRM. And then the one that Patrick was asking about, that's one that's provided by EXP for free. If you were to buy that on your own on a monthly basis, that would be about $500 a month for that CRM, and that's the one that KV Corp provides for free. However, like I just said, that's not going to mean anything to you if you don't use it. So if you try out KV Corp and you're like, I don't like it, I know other people that use Follow Up Boss, Lion Desk, and there are plenty others that people are using. And, you know, but what does it matter if you're not using it? So I don't care what it is that you use, just make sure that one that you're using is going to be basically what you conduct all activity through your CRM. One of the mistakes that I made in my career is not conducting all of my business through the CRM. And so like if I get a lead from an open house and it's face to face and I'm putting that into my phone, what good does that do me? How many people are you really going to remember? Maybe one person you'll remember as you start out, maybe you'll remember 10 people, but really as you're progressing throughout your real estate career, are you really going to remember to follow up with those people that you met at an open house? Because basically you send a text message, if they don't reply back to you, it may be a week, 2 weeks, a month, 3 months, and you're like, oh shoot, what about that person? And you follow back up with them and they bought a house. And how does that make you feel? That's going to make you feel pretty crappy. And I know because it's happened to me during my career where I didn't have that system in place. So we'll talk about having a follow-up system in later slides as well. But I just want to stress the importance of putting absolutely everybody in there. If you can put all of your Facebook contacts in there, if you don't mind reaching out to them and just asking them for their email, or if you already know their email, if they're friends of yours, everybody's going to go into there. So I'm going to go to the next slide because this will feed into what I'm talking about. So you're going to make at least a minimum list of 200 people that you know. So this is going to be everybody that you know. So, it may be 200, it may be 500, it may be 1,000. However many people that you know, those are your current coworkers. And you may say, well, how is that going to work? Because I'm going to be licensed in California, but I'm moving to Hawaii. How can I help them? Well, how you can help them is connecting them with a local agent. You get paid a referral fee off of that. So if you tell them like, hey, I'm in real estate, I am moving, but if you need a local agent here, I can connect you with one. So that's why that's important. And then some of you may get a part-time job or even a full-time job after you graduate from the SkillBridge program. You may be, working with other people instead of doing real estate full-time. Obviously, you want to let them know, but I primarily want to focus on, pre-license activities that you can do. You're going to want to make this list, and of course, this list is going to go into a CRM, or since we're talking about pre-license, make a spreadsheet. If you make a spreadsheet, that can be imported into a CRM once you are licensed and you have a CRM. If you make a spreadsheet or even a Google sheet out of it, that'll be easy for you in the future when you're transporting all of these leads into a CRM. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to sit down and make a list of everybody that you know. And then what you're going to want to do is let them know, like, hey, I'm getting into real estate and I'm transitioning from real estate life or military life to real estate life. And I want to let you know by June of this year, I'm going to have my real estate license. Who do you know that I can help that's looking for a house during, that time frame? This will start planting the seed in their minds that, hey, so-and-so, like Robert is going to be licensed soon, Mark's going to be licensed soon. So I'm going to send my friends to them because I know that, they're getting their license soon. And so as soon as they get their license, you can basically hit the ground running. So you're going to call all of them, you're going to text them, you're going to send them a Facebook message. You don't have to do all of those, but I would recommend doing as many as you can. Of course, you don't want to like blast them out too much. You can do an announcement via a postcard. If you have everybody's addresses, you can send out an announcement. Of course, you can do an announcement on Facebook, like, hey, I'm in real estate now, or I'm going to be in real estate. I'm going to get my license. So just making sure that people know that you were transitioning to real estate, because you don't want to be a secret agent. A secret agent isn't going to get you business. There's not going to be anybody reaching out to you if they don't know that you are transitioning from military life to real estate life. And, I made this mistake just first starting out. And of course, I didn't know as many people whenever I first started out, but you know, you do want to make that announcement to let them know when you expect to be licensed and that you are getting your real estate license. So, and then the list of people that you know, that's literally like coworkers, friends, family. You can let your dentist know. You can let pretty much everybody that you can think of, your gardener, your housekeeper, your babysitter, because maybe him, their parents have somebody, like everybody that you know. If your kids have a soccer game or whatever, obviously you're socializing with the other parents and you're talking to them about how you're getting your real estate license, like whatever it is. You just want to blast this out and make sure that people know that you are getting into real estate. And you're gonna have to do this on a, of course, not the first announcement, but you may want to do like some follow-ups to those people too, because you know, not everybody sees, like especially if it's a Facebook post, not everybody's going to see that, you know, you posted that. So you could, you know, do follow-ups based upon that. So any questions before I move on to the next slides? Janetta, if you had a question, you were muted. So I'm not sure if you were talking to me or not.
Yes, I have a question if you don't mind, ma'am.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, for those of us that are about to start the actual SkillBridge program, this is my first Zoom call I've attended, so thank you for hosting. Will there be, or is there something that already exists, like a checklist type, that gives us all the actions that we need to do in order to be postured for success as we walk into the SkillBridge program for the first time? Is there like a list of items that we should complete prior to? Thank you.
As far as lead gen goes, or?
I'm talking about like in general. For instance, my SkillBridge start date is the 21st of March.
Okay.
You know, like what does day one look like and what should I do before day one to make sure that the time is productive?
Right, yeah, so everything's going to be within the Gwilt Group University. Are you set up on that yet?
Not yet, no. That's why I'm
Okay.
asking.
I think that'll make more sense to you once you're logged on to that.
Okay, and what is that called, ma'am?
Gwilt Group University.
All right, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're already approved with us, so were you set up on the Slack channel?
I have not set up anything online. I went through the whole system, was approved and everything. I got the
Okay.
letters and all that. I just physically
Gotcha.
haven't logged into any other virtual sites.
Okay. So every Monday we have a new agent orientation. So if you could go to that, that'll make more sense. It'll make more sense to you. But yeah, it'll make more sense to you once you're logged into that Gwilt Group University. That should have been an email that was sent out to you once you got the command approval. So if you go back and look at that email, there's information in there that will help you out.
Okay, thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Tasha,
Mhm.
where do we find the CRM, the free CRM? Because I would like to start utilizing that now. And can I utilize it before I graduate?
So, okay. So initially you're not going to have a CRM if you're not licensed yet.
Oh, okay.
But what I was saying is you could enter it into a Google Sheet or a spreadsheet. So that way, once you are licensed and you have the CRM set up, you can just easily import that. Like usually any CRM will let you import a CSV file. So it's going to be easy to do it off of a spreadsheet or a Google Sheet. I'm sure there are other, I wish I would have thought about that before this call, but I'm sure there are some free ones that you can find.
Okay.
But I would just Google it.
Well, once I do get licensed, it'll be within the EXP world.
Yeah, it'll be within that EXP enterprise that I was showing Patrick. So.
And we can only access that once we're licensed.
That's correct.
Okay, great. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tasha, is it just their name and number, or do you need their address? What's all involved in the list?
I would get as many contact details as you can. So whatever somebody's willing to give you. it obviously depends on the relationship that you have with them, whether or not they're willing to give you those details. Like, I feel like it's like pulling teeth trying to get people's addresses off of my Facebook friends list, and they're friends of mine. So I'm like, yeah, just whatever you can get, like birthdays. Usually people are willing to share their birthday with you. So I don't know, but as much as contact.
Can I have a 6-piece chicken nugget Happy Meal, please?
Oh no, I'm
With
not.
apple slices and
Oh man, that was funny. Okay. So any other questions before I move on? Okay. I'll just move on. If you have questions, just unmute yourself. All right. So, like I said, adding 10 people to your database every day is just a good rule of thumb. And your database is typically put into that CRM. So we basically covered all of that. I'm going to give you 20 lead gen ideas that you can implement into your business. There is an endless amount of lead gen activities that you can do as an agent. And so really it's about finding about 3 to 5 different lead gen sources that you think that you can implement on a daily basis, and one that you generally like to do. I don't necessarily like cold calling, but whenever I did start out in real estate, like I didn't have very many leads, so I would call expireds. So, even if you're not fully comfortable with it, like I'm an introvert, but even extroverts struggle with cold calling. So, some of it is also, getting outside of your comfort zone, but whatever it is, make sure that you're doing it on a consistent basis. And I would recommend 3 to 5 different activities. So, whatever it is, if it's, and you guys will get these slides, by the way, they're posted in the general Slack channel after our calls. So don't worry about having to write everything down if you are. So like if you are messaging people on Facebook, that's a lead gen source. If you're messaging people on Instagram, that's a lead gen source. If you're messaging people on LinkedIn, that's a lead gen source. So, those are different sources in and of itself, because yeah, social media is one idea to prospect, but if you take all of those individually, you can do 5 to 10 just for social media resources in and of itself. And I'm not talking about just posting stuff up and just, not ever messaging or interacting with people. You're going to want to reach out to 10 people, like their posts, comment on their posts, whatever it is, if it's Facebook, if it's Instagram, like whatever it is, you're going to want to be actually interacting with people. I know I kind of skipped ahead in social media. I don't even think it's on this slide, but really what you're going to want to start out with is your sphere of influence. We've already kind of flushed that out. So I'm going to jump right into talking about open houses. So open houses, great thing about open houses is that they're easy and they're free. There's no cost, apart from like your open house signs and, any refreshments that you want to provide. Like outside of that, it's free. You're not having to pay for these leads. The great thing that I liked about it is it's face-to-face, especially like I don't like cold calling as much. And I feel like once you meet that person face-to-face, it's a little bit more of a warm lead because they've, at least met you. But open houses are great. You can, this is a great source for new agents that are coming in. I'll talk a little bit more about open houses in one of my next slides too. So, finding leads on social media. Like I've heard of people like I have down there create YouTube videos. There's been people that make a good living off of creating YouTube videos for real estate. And there's obviously like a specific strategy to it. If you look up Channel Junkies on YouTube, they do a phenomenal job. And they're one of the first people that created videos that actually generated leads for their business. And so now they run such a successful business doing YouTube that they basically hand everything off to other agents and make a living just based upon like just referring out their leads to their agents. So they're doing great with it. So yeah, you can look them up if you want to. But yeah, there's just so much that you can do. Like you can get leads off of LinkedIn. There's specific methods for that. There's so much like Instagram reels, like if you make those on a daily basis, of course, all of your other Instagram content. My recommendation is if you are a realtor, you should be basically integrating yourself into every social media outlet that you can handle. Don't come to me telling me that you don't do videos and you don't do social media. I'm just going to tell you need to get with it. And these are the times. It's 2022. This is where everything is leading to. This is basically the future of real estate. So how in the world did I receive red marks on my screen? That's weird. Anyway, sorry. But you need to be on Facebook, you need to be on Instagram. I would highly advise being on TikTok as well. You can even do these things prior. So, posting on all of these social media outlets. It is kind of controversial whether or not you should have a real estate business page for Facebook. Some people like it and some people say it doesn't do anything. So I guess it really just, matters like what you do with it. But I'm not going to be able to go over it because I'm not the expert in these fields. There are plenty of experts out there, real estate wise, for social media. But there are so many methods you can do with social media outlets to get leads. Of course, I'm sure there's people that do well with Twitter as well. I, personally don't like it, but I'm sure there's people that get leads off of that. Probably because it's pretty communicative, like it's just a different outlet. Whatever it is, like that's, I'll leave that up to you, like what works for you. So anyways, so I'm going to move on to expires and Fizbos. So expires and Fizbos, kind of the same, kind of goes hand in hand, but it doesn't at the same time. Usually whenever you pay for, so with these, you're going to have to get these from some sort of source. So you might sign up to RedX. There's other companies out there that provide cold data. There's REIV as well, REIVY, that you can get this data from as well. So you might have to pay for these sources in order to call expireds and for sale by owner. That's what the Fizbos stand for. I always forget that not everybody knows that. For sale by owner, and then expires. Expires are homes that have expired on the MLS, and you're calling them to see if you can now list their home because that has expired. So you're going to try to relist their home. Fizbos, obviously, you're trying to get them to list with you as a real estate agent. So you can call those like Zillow. I know Zillow used to be better at showing who is, trying to sell their home without a realtor. I'm not sure how great that is nowadays with how many changes that they've had recently. But there are plenty of other sources. The primary one that I can tell you about that we use is RedX. And RedX is also in Gwilt Group University. So we have scripts and everything in there. You don't necessarily get the data because you're going to have to pay for that data on your own. But you at least can see like the scripts and everything on how to convert those leads. So there's a script for almost everything in Gwilt Group University. So if that's like something that you want to implement in your business, you can go through and just start reading through those scripts and just, do that on a daily basis for 15 to 30 minutes. You can even get a script partner. So, maybe that person is in the SkillBridge program or, just finding somebody that will role play with you. Because that's going to help you whenever it comes to expires and Fizbos, because you really have to know your scripts when you're cold calling, because you don't want to be stuck and like, oh, I don't know how to respond to this person. Same thing with circle prospecting. So I'll explain what circle prospecting is. So basically you're looking, for a certain area. So whatever that area that you're wanting to circle prospect in, you're basically calling 100, 200, 300, how many, just depends on how many calls you can handle. But you're calling that many people around the home that either just got listed or it just sold. It does not have to be your sale, and you don't have to have sold that property. Of course, don't represent it as yours because we want to make sure that we're going by all of the laws. But you can say, hey, it's so-and-so from ABC Realty. I'm just calling because I want to let you know that this property just sold on blah, blah, blah. Who do you know that's looking to buy or sell right now? And you can get leads just doing that. And this is something we provide to our team agents, so they can circle prospect, they can call Fizbos, they can call expires all day long if they want to. This is a really good strategy because you don't even have to have these homes yourself. You can just circle. I like the idea of circle prospecting. So any questions on that? Did I confuse everybody, or does that all make sense?
Excuse me, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I was wondering, is there like a realtor news source or Facebook group or like a newsletter that puts out new information? Such as like when you were talking about Zillow, you said that they made changes to their website. I'm guessing that's from just experience working with it. But I was just curious of like, say there's like a new policy that comes out nationwide or locally. Do you know if there's like a way to find that information?
That's a good question. Zohar, do you have any idea? I don't know if he's still on.
So I can kind of speak to that a little bit. Once you guys are licensed and if you do decide to get a mentor, great resource to have. My mentor is awesome. Zor actually put me onto Workplace, and my mentor did as well. And so if you sign into your Workplace for your state, normally the brokers will have a lot of updates in there. And so you'll get updates on things that are happening. And you'll also get updates when you tune into the monthly meetings or whatever periodic meetings occur with the brokers in your state. So like I'm here in Hawaii, so is Zor. They put up updates into the Workspace chat, and then we can tune into the monthly meetings and get more updates on things that are happening.
That's exactly what I was gonna say, the monthly meetings for your state.
For some reason, I was thinking you meant more of like social media stuff, but that makes more sense. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. That was good.
What was your name, by the way? It shows dots on your thing.
My name is Quentin Cipra.
Oh, okay.
I'm in Hawaii at the moment, but then I'm going to get a license in North Carolina.
Oh, okay, nice. Okay. All righty. Anybody else? Okay. So, and Zohar, you can feel free to interrupt me too if you have additional input as I'm going through this.
Sounds good. Thank you. There's a couple of questions. One about if you can attend a open house as an unlicensed agent, and then the other
Yeah,
one
you
was
can.
about,
Yep, you most definitely can. You just gotta partner up with somebody that's willing to let you shadow them, because
What was his question? I had a pause in the volume or something.
if you can attend an open house when you're unlicensed.
Oh, I want to start doing that.
Yeah, the thing is that you have to do that with a licensed agent. So if that's something you guys are interested in, reach out to me or Zohar, and we can help get you connected up with somebody, or we'll try at least.
Because I think it's going to be another month before I even get licensed because of how slow things are here in California. And
It's
my last
so
active duty
slow.
day is March 31st. So
Yeah, I have somebody that was like, I'm gonna drive 4 hours away just to go take my test because
ridiculous.
because of the fact that it's taking so long here.
Heck, I'd come shadow you guys Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, every week.
Yeah.
So
Where are you at again, Janetta? in
I'm at Camp
California?
Pendleton, right outside Camp
Oh,
Pendleton.
you
So I'm
are.
about an hour with or without traffic, an hour and a half, hour to an hour and a half from LA.
Yeah, if we have any open house, like right now, we don't have any open houses coming up anytime soon. But if we do, I'll definitely let you know. Just because, yeah, we would be more than happy to let you shadow somebody.
Do you want me to call you or set up a Zoom one-on-one or what?
Oh, no, I mean, just whenever we have an open house opportunity available, I've been
Oh,
more
okay.
than happy to let you shadow one of our agents.
Yeah, please let me know.
Because
I'm ready. I'm just waiting on, I'm waiting to take my test and I'm enjoying my time,
Yeah,
right? Before I really have to start working again.
yeah. So, yeah, I would say reach out to me, probably at the end of next month to May, because I may have a listing coming up during that time.
Okay. Yeah, I'll be more than happy to do more than what I'm doing right now, waiting for that test.
Okay. Yeah, because David and I don't really do open houses or showings or anything like that anymore. So if you were to shadow anybody, you would be shadowing one of our agents.
Yeah, just, okay, perfect.
You're welcome. You didn't say thank you, but I don't know why I said you're welcome, whatever. All right. And then you're gonna want to pick a farm area. And a farm area doesn't mean like cows and pigs. It means you're gonna pick an area that you want to consistently reach out to on a well, typically on a monthly to quarterly basis. So usually when you're picking a farm, this is where you primarily want to focus on getting listings. You're usually consistently sending out postcards to this area. Like my area that I have is the community that I live in. And so what I want to do is consistently send out postcards. What I do is I actually send out, I don't really do postcards. I don't like to do postcards just because I feel like every realtor out there is sending out postcards. So I do handwritten letters instead to my community. And those can be several different things. So it could be like I have a buyer, and I'll talk about that in one of my other slides as well. I have a buyer letter, or inventory is low. Would you like to sell your home? Blah blah blah. Like there's a lot that you can find online for letter templates. So but yeah, you're going to want to pick a farm area, focus on it. You're going to want to hit them on a quarterly basis at the very least, because like I said, most other agents are hitting them in some sort of aspect. You can even pick your farm and circle prospect your farm on a daily or on a daily basis. So you can have, like, if it's 600 homes, so it should be about 500 homes to 1,000 homes. 1,000 homes is going to be a little bit more on the harder side to do. I would pick more of 500 to 600 homes and farm that, because that's going to be more doable, especially if you're doing handwritten letters. It's going to take you absolutely forever. You can probably only ideally get through 100 or so in a week, unless I don't know, I feel like your hand's going to fall off if you do more than that. So, but I know there are systems, like we have a printer that will print it out and make it look like it's handwritten. You could even do that, but you want to make sure that it actually looks like you wrote it. So you could even, so that's one of the ways that you can print that out. So, but yeah, you're going to want to, oh, go ahead, Zor.
I was gonna say that there's companies that actually use machines to hold an actual pen to write out the letter, and so
That's really cool.
Yeah, so that option is out there.
Yeah, we used to actually handwrite them, and I'm like, okay, my hand's gonna fall off trying to write that many letters a week. So, and then really you can only get through so many because you can only write so fast, right? And especially if you're an active agent, you have business, like you can only do so many of those. So, but yeah, one of those machines, or if you have a printer at home that will do something similar to that. When I found that out, I was like, okay, this is so much better.
The thing to keep in mind with that is it might seem like a lot of money that you're putting into it, But if you just get one lead out of the 1,000 letters that you send out that cost you $2,000, then it's worth it.
Definitely. Patrick, you want to say something?
Yeah, so the question that I had regarding that was, what was like the conversion rate? Because so I haven't tried that yet, but I've heard that the conversion rate on mailers, I mean, we all know, we all get mailers, and for the most part, most people just kind of throw them out. What were your conversion rates like?
No, like when people get handwritten letters, everybody's always going to open that. And before the market changed, I haven't been doing them lately, but before the market changed back in 2020, like if I would send out a group of, I want to say I would do at least 100 or so, sending out I have a buyer letters, and this is actually what I was going to talk about in a future slide, but I could just cover it now. So I would send out I have a buyer, and I would actually have a buyer. Whether or not that's the case for you, some agents are okay with saying that they have a buyer if they have buyers that kind of fit, like, you know, they're looking in that area. For me, I always felt like I wanted to only send that out if I actually had a buyer that was ready, willing, and able to buy that house if they said that they had a listing. But the great thing about that is that's a good way to get listings. You're not necessarily always going to find somebody that, you know, or like find a home for that particular buyer. So there's letters out there that you can use. And of course you can modify them as well. For I have a buyer, like I think Breakthrough Broker has some, you know, just Google I have a buyer letters. There are some that will pop up for you. There's going to be different versions of them, obviously. And you can modify them. You can create them in Adobe. You can create them in Canva, like whatever you want to do. So I would send out I have a buyer, and then those would I would usually get 1 to 2, maybe 3 calls off of it if I was lucky. But the great thing is that I either got a listing presentation like off of it, which was really, you know, to me that was still good because you get a call, you get to go meet the seller at their home. Like you're not bringing your buyer to that. It's basically like a listing presentation without calling it that. You're saying, hey, I would like to meet you just to see if this home is going to work out for my clients. And then of course, like if it doesn't work out for my clients, I would just, you know, tell them like, you know, this may or may not work out for them. I just want to be upfront with you. They may not like this home and they may not want to offer on it. And of course you can go into the whole listing presentation there. But that is probably one of my #1 ways to get listings is sending out I have a buyer. That's going to work better than any of your other letters. I'm not a numbers person, so I don't necessarily have the numbers. But pretty much every time I would send those out, I would at least get a listing presentation, and I've gotten listings off of that. So I highly, highly recommend sending out I have a buyer letters. So, and like I said, if you feel okay with doing that, if you have a buyer, or even if you don't have a buyer, that's up to you. But for me, I always like to actually have a buyer in hand. So, any other questions on that? Is all good, Patrick?
Good to go. Thank you.
You're welcome. You can also, well, so actually, I don't want to move on from the farm area. You can kind of do circle prospecting with your farm area because it can provide phone numbers and emails. And so you can set up like an email and text drip campaign to send out to them on a consistent basis. And I would actually really recommend doing that if you're going to do some sort of circle prospecting. I would always do that into whatever your farm area is, because you're not necessarily always, you know, circle prospecting your farm. You're going to do that with other places as well, like other areas as well. So it may not be the case that you're only doing that in your farm area, but I'd highly recommend doing circle prospecting, or at least getting some form of contact with email and phone number. Of course, there are some that are on the do not call list. And so again, that's up to you whether or not you feel comfortable. Like most people aren't going to report you. And of course, if you accidentally call them and they're on the do not call list, if they ask you not to call them anymore, then just don't call them. Obviously, most people they're not even going to remember who you are. And it's actually like, I've tried to do that to companies that done that to me, and it's actually super hard to file a complaint because you got to go through all of these forms and blah, blah, blah. So like most people don't do it. But I'll leave that up to your discretion whether or not you feel okay with, calling people that are on the do not call list. Sponsoring events. So you can sponsor events in your local community. If you live in like a gated community like I do, I'll sponsor events that happen. Like we have Easter egg stuff, we have 4th of July events. And so I would sponsor those events. Obviously, if you live next to a base, you can inquire with them about sponsoring events at your local, whatever base that you're, military base that you're next to. You can sponsor like community events. You can sponsor all sorts of events. Of course, it can get expensive for doing sponsored events. So you can, it depends on your state. You can have your lender sponsor events. Of course, they can't give the money to you, but they can just give it directly to whoever is in charge of that event. Because typically, we have to go by RESPA. We got to make sure that we are going by RESPA rules, obviously. So, but yeah, you can do sponsored events. That's one way to get leads. Agent to agent referrals, like I said, like letting people know, even if it's not in your area, you can get sometimes a 25% referral off of that. So that's, one of the ways to get started as well as doing agent to agent referrals. And that's just making those connections and, making those connections, making those relationships. And you can get a 25%. And basically all you do is, connect your lead with that agent, and then you get a 25% referral, and that's all you had to do. So that's a good way to get income without really having to do much. So, yeah. You can partner with divorce lawyers. I've never done this, but you could definitely partner with divorce lawyers because, they usually when people are getting a divorce, they're selling their house. And so if you make a good relationship with them and they don't have anybody that they're going to, you could become their go-to agent for that. I've heard of people making money off of starting a blog. So you can start a blog about real estate in your local area. So that's one way to do it. I don't know much more than that, but I'm sure you can find somebody who is an expert in that. I'm definitely not an expert in that. We've already gone over creating YouTube videos. Where are we at on time? We are 12:49. Okay, we're not that great on time.
Hey, Tasha, I have a question real
Yeah.
quick about the
Sure.
agent-to-agent relations. Is that split? Is that an EXP thing, or is that something that I would have to negotiate with an agent?
On the agent to agent referrals, is that your question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sorry, I didn't hear you. That would just be your negotiation with the agent. Typically
Okay.
25%, but some people get greedy and they want to ask for 30. I've had people ask me for more than 30, and I don't agree with doing that because I don't know. To me, I'm like, that's greedy. Just ask for 25%. That's usually what it is. So, does that help, Caleb?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. You can go door knocking. So door knocking in your farm area, just knocking on people's doors, seeing if they need to sell their house. Offering them something of value is usually better than, just trying to go there and list their house. So you definitely have to commit to this if you want to do it, because you're going to consistently have to go back and knock on their door. Of course, you can get their email and you can get their phone number. But that's one method. You can also pay for leads. Zillow, Facebook, Realtor.com, Google Leads. There's a numerous amount of ways you can pay for leads. Zillow leads are usually pretty expensive, depending on your area code. Like, of course, for California, in our area, it can be thousands of dollars to pay for Zillow leads. And then, of course, you want to be like right there at the phone when people call you because they're on to the next agent if you don't pick up. And then there goes all of the money that you spent. We've spent money on Facebook leads that didn't go pretty much anywhere with those, just because we weren't getting enough. So we haven't really done that great with paid leads. Ours is more like word of mouth, referrals, the letter strategy that I talked about, farming my neighborhood, and just making those relationships and connections. So we haven't really, thankfully, had to pay for leads. You can create a realtor.com profile and you can get leads for free on realtor.com. So that's a good way to get a free lead, because literally all you have to do is update your profile every 30 days and Realtor will give you one free lead. Like literally the other day I went and I updated, what did I go update? I updated, I can't remember what, my phone number, because now my phone number is one that will go directly into my KV core, and that's something you have to pay for. That's like $27 a month. So it's not cheap, but anyways, so I changed my number. Literally the next day they gave me a lead, free lead, didn't have to pay for it. So definitely go and do that once you're licensed. I don't think you can do that before you're licensed, so you have to be a licensed realtor for that. Partner with a lender, make connections with local lenders in your area, because they may have leads that come through that are not paired with an agent yet. And so if you make a good relationship with a few lenders in your area, then perhaps they will send you leads. You can partner with your title rep, and they will also help you with coming up with who your farm should be. And so most of them have like apps or websites and stuff that you can go to. And they can give you, like, you can say, hey, can you give me this area? They can send you that area with all the addresses and everything. And then most of the time you have to pay for like email addresses and phone numbers. They'll have you pay for that because, you know, they have to also make money. So sometimes you have to pay for those things, but they can at least give you like, okay, these are the absentee owners. If you want to go after people who are renting their place out, but they're basically out of state owners, or they just don't live there. That's a good way to send letters to those people as well. That's a good way to get leads. So it can basically be, they can pretty much like, they can send you a list of people who have VA loans. So if you want to, you know, basically focus on, you know, people who have a VA loan, because, you know, you're military. So you can connect with them at least on that level. So you at least already have one thing in common. So you can go and say, hey, can you, you know, pull people that have a VA loan? And so you can target people that way. In-person networking events. So, you know, going to meetups, going to any type of event like that that people organize, and you're making those face-to-face connections. And so that's a good way to connect with, because you don't want to necessarily go to the agent ones. You want to go to ones that are in person, that are not, you know, they can be real estate focused, but not necessarily like all realtors, because all realtors in your area aren't going to refer you to anybody. You can start a podcast. I know people have done well with podcasts. So there's StreamYard. If you wanted to create a podcast, it's a good site to go to. There's, you know, we already talked about direct mail marketing. That's postcards, that's letters, stuff like that. And then there's, sorry, that was a bug, if you're wondering why I'm waving my hands in the air. And then of course there are, I can't even tell you how many other lead gen activities, but these are just at least 20 to kind of get your get ideas flowing and kind of get you start thinking about what you want to do and implement after the program. And of course, there are things like we talked about earlier that you can do even before you're licensed. And you can even start making those relationships with a title rep and a lender and all of that. So the way you can hit the ground running and you know who you're targeting. Because that's one of the, it's funny because lead gen is how we get paid, but this is one of the top things that agents struggle with, and I'm not, you know, I'm not an exception to that. So lead gen can be the hardest thing, but it's one of the primary things that you're going to want to focus on, especially coming out of being in military life and trying to of course, get paid and still be able to pay your bills and all of that. So, making sure that you have this down pat is going to really set you up for success and make it so the way you're not struggling as hard. It does take you a while, about 3 to 6 months whenever you are implementing strategies. And so if you are door knocking and you've done it for a week or two or even a month and you're like, man, this just doesn't seem to work, I haven't gotten a lead, you haven't been doing it long enough. You got to do it on a consistent basis for 3 to 6 months, or else you're not going to do it long enough to see those results. And then like you've wasted a month of your time because you gave up before it started working. Believe me, like I've been doing some things for a year and still not seeing results, and then finally seeing those results after a year. So some things just take a little bit longer. And then obviously, like in the future, after you've helped a good amount of clients, you can start getting those referrals, but it does take a while because, you get people into a home, usually they're staying there for at least 4 years. If you're focused on military, sometimes it can be sooner, but more than likely it's going to be a few years before you see your clients cycling through and wanting to sell their place. I've been in for 6 years and I'm finally being able to talk to people about selling their home that I helped buy. So that cycle's finally starting to come around for me. But anyways, I know we don't have much time left. So I'm going to quickly run through this. So some methods that we've used, we already went over handwritten letters, so I'm going to skip that now. We already went through, like, you can contact your local title rep and they'll send you a list of addresses and stuff to mail to. And then open houses, that's how I got my first 2 clients. It was an agent in my office. She offered for me to do the open house for her. My mentor had me do the other open house. So like, it was just connections that I had. And it's not going to be any different for EXP. Yeah, we're virtual. But you're still going to have, unless you're in a very rural area, you're still going to have other EXP agents in your area. And you don't only have to do it for EXP agents either. You can do it for any brokerage, no matter where you are, no matter what brokerage that you're with. You can do that for, any other office like KW, Coldwell, Remax, whatever. So if you want to hold somebody's open house, all you got to do is contact them at the beginning of the week and ask them if you can hold an open house for their listing. And most listing agents don't want to hold their own open houses. And this is because usually listing agents want to focus on listings and they don't necessarily want to do those open houses. And that's kind of how I feel. My agents do my open houses for me because I want to focus on listings, and most of those are focused on buying. But you can get listings through that. And typically you're not paying a referral fee for that. It's just, you're doing that basically as a favor to the listing agent, and they're basically giving that to you because they're not, they don't want to do that. I would say that it's not common, at least where I am, to ask for a referral fee. I had one past agent that asked me to pay her a referral fee. I was so desperate to have an open house that I agreed to it, but I wouldn't recommend ever paying a listing agent off of doing their open house. Like, they're already getting paid. You're not getting paid, right? So I don't think it's right to ask for a referral fee as a listing agent for an agent to hold your house open, because it's like, well, they're doing your job for you, so why should they have to pay you off of leads? So, but that's just how I feel about it. You can stand out by letting them know that you will send them a recap at the end of the open house. And then you'll have refreshments, you have your own signs. Sometimes they'll let you borrow their signs, but I wouldn't recommend that if they're not at the same brokerage as you. And of course, you have to check with your broker's policies as well for that sort of stuff. And of course, local policies. So, sorry, I'm trying to see the rest of my slide. Yeah, then you'll have signs, refreshments, everything. So they just want to know that that you're going to be professional, and that they'll get a recap at the end, so that way they can give their seller a rundown of how the open house went. So what they don't want you to do is hold an open house and then basically you're not, you don't give them any feedback whatsoever. So So yeah, any questions about open houses?
I actually do have a question. So I found one open house to stand that I stood 2 weeks ago via a networking group that I'm a part of here on Oahu. You mentioned contacting agents directly to see if you could stand their open houses. What tools do you use for that? So are you like looking at what's coming on the market? What are you kind of doing? And then how are you contacting the agents to get that information?
I'm just looking in the MLS to get that information. Like you're looking at houses that just came on the market. You can even look at houses that have been on the market for a few weeks because the agent is probably pretty tired of doing open houses by that point, depending on what the market is. I wouldn't contact agents that have a team because they usually have people that are holding their open houses for them, so they won't need you. You can contact people that are or agents that are from out of town because they usually don't want to hold the house open because they're from out of town. So does that answer your question? Did I miss anything?
It does. I guess the main juxt of it was basically what do I need to be looking at before I'm contacting the agents? But I see what you're saying. You're saying essentially just look at the MLS and then whatever on the MLS and doesn't have an open house. So are these places, these are listings that haven't posted an open house yet, or an open house date, or you were trying to look for the ones that have an open house date?
This is usually for homes that don't have an open house posted yet.
Okay.
But even if they do, I would still contact them, especially if they're from out of area. Do you know what I mean when I say from out of area?
Yes.
Yeah, because like if they have to drive an hour, they may not want to have to drive an hour to just go to do that open house. Obviously they would if they had to, but you may be doing them a favor by asking them if you can hold it open. I've even held open houses with the listing agent that was from a different brokerage, just because we had a good relationship. And she had already been in the real estate business for I think 10 years. So she was pretty already I would say run down by the real estate business. So she was just like, you can just have all the leads that come in. So I don't even know why she was there with me. Maybe her seller asked her to be, but she was like, you can just have all these leads. I don't need them. I'm like, okay, great. So, you can even hold it with different agents. So.
And just real quick for everybody else in the program who isn't licensed yet, once you do get your license, standing open houses is pretty awesome. I stood my first one a couple weeks ago. I got three business out of it, and
Nice.
you learn a lot. You learn a lot from it. So
that's awesome, Patrick. Sorry, I'm just looking at how long it's going to take me to get to my next appointment. Sorry, guys. I could even keep this going if.
For the unlicensed person that doesn't have access to MLS can use like Zillow and see the upcoming open houses and call an agency and shadow them.
Yep, you can do that. Let's see, how long is it going to take me to get there? Oh, okay. I still have a few minutes. Okay, good. All right, good questions though. Any other questions on open houses? Robert? Oh, no, okay. Yeah, so having a plan of action, following up with them, follow-up and conversion is the most important part. One of the things that I thought it was bothering people back when I first started real estate, because I would contact them one time, and I was just like, oh, if I contact them, they're gonna think that I'm just bugging. I don't want to bug them. The truth is that like even for people that you met, like people get busy. People have busy lives, and just think about like how often you're reaching back out to people that are reaching out to you, unless of course they're already like family and friends. And especially if it's a real estate agent, like most people don't like realtors. So you're going to want to reach out to them. Like it could take anywhere from 1 to 30 touches. And this does go for people you met at open houses. So don't do the mistake that I did and contact them one time after you meet them at the open house, or this goes for any lead, obviously. But don't contact them one time and think that they're going to remember who you are, that they're going to know who you are. Usually they don't have any idea who you are. So you're going to want to like put them into that CRM, like we talked about, and you're going to want to have some sort of drip campaign with emails and text messages. So at least the only thing you have to do is call them. So there are plenty of follow-up plans that you can go with. So that's why I didn't really put any but the 10 days of pain. If you look up the 10 days of pain, just Google it, 10 days of pain. You will see the method that they're talking about for the best way to convert those leads. And of course, like if it's a cold lead and you didn't meet them at an open house, if they are calling you, then like if they reach out to you and they want to buy a home, buy or sell their home, you got to reach out to them immediately. You have to reach out to them at least within 5 minutes. They say that is the biggest way to convert that lead. Any longer than 5 minutes is basically like an eternity to them. So having your follow-up plan, whether it's the 10 days of pain, I would, I would Google it and see what other people who are experts in the their follow-up and can tell you, what the best plan is. And touches is just anytime you're reaching out to the lead. So text, email, phone call, and of course, like Facebook messages, Instagram messages, those sort of things count as well. But mainly what we talk about usually when we're talking about touches is text and email and phone call. So it's really, really important to have this follow-up plan in place. Because otherwise you're going to do, like I mentioned earlier, reach back out to people 3 months from now and they're going to be like, well, I already bought a home. I didn't even think of you. And this goes for friends and family. You're going to think that because your friends and family know that you're in real estate, sometimes people forget things. They're not thinking whenever they want to buy or sell a home. And they're just reaching out to the first person who was the last person to reach out to them. And that may not be you. And that's the harsh reality. And so you do need to consistently let your friends and family know that that you're in real estate, and that you can help them, because they will forget. And I can sadly and unfortunately almost guarantee you that each one of you that gets into real estate, there's going to be somebody in your close sphere of influence that this happens to you, especially if you're not very good at follow-up whatsoever. So, okay, so that was the end basically of the all of my presentation. Of course, these are just housekeeping items. I will post these slides so that way you can see. I'm going to run through it really quickly because then I have to jump off. Everybody should be on Gwilt Group University now. Please don't send direct messages on Gwilt Group University. We don't check those. And then you'll want to use the join code GG intern to access the training. I posted in the general channel what that means and how to find that. You may see that now when you log into Gwilt Group University that it's blank. So if it appears with nothing on the screen when you go into Gwilt Group University, that's because you need to go to join group, and then you have to enter in GG intern in order to access the training. If you don't do that, you're in the wrong thing. Like whatever you're in now, you're in the wrong thing. You may be in SkillBridge internship program, but you're not going to have the entire program available to you. So everybody needs to go do that today. Go to Gwilt Group University, join group, enter in that code, and that's how you'll have access to everything now. So, of course, we have the weekly orientation for everybody that is new to our program. For anybody that wants to pop in with questions, definitely pop in there with questions as well. When you guys are messaging us, please message us only on your Slack channel. Don't do a direct message if possible. Please try to keep it to that Slack channel because everybody is on there. So that's how we can best help you, is if you keep it to that. Let's see. And then I do have a new Slack quick reference sheet that I popped in the general channel as well. And this is so that way you know what channels are available. And it tells you like a quick snapshot of what's in each channel and what the channel is about. And so please see that that guide so you can understand like how to use Slack to your full advantage. If you're about to graduate, please schedule your graduation call with Zoar. And then the next SkillBridge meeting, unfortunately, I'm going out of town for a few weeks, so I won't be able to do it that first or that second Wednesday. So I'm going to have to push that to 4/13. So April 13th is the next SkillBridge call. But yeah, so I do have to pop off of here. I don't know if Zoar is going to be able to stay on to answer any additional questions that they might have from the presentation. So I don't know. Are you? Or do you need to go?
Yeah. I'll stick around for any questions.
Okay. All right. All right. Appreciate it. All right. I appreciate you guys. I'm going to jump off here, but I'll just leave it running in the background just so the way it doesn't end the call. So
You might be able to make Zor, you can make Zor or me the host and we can control everything if
oh
necessary.
wait, how do I do that?
It should be one of the
Oh,
options.
here, make host. Yes. Okay, thank you. Okay, perfect. All right, thank you guys. Bye.
Hey, Tasha.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I had a quick question. So the